Are your clients, would you say they are winning full-time, part-time? What's the percentage of
Sure.
people doing full-time music work that not to like brag about the service or anything,
Oh yeah, yeah.
just the reality of the people that you not only work with or for, but speak to on your channels and things like
Yeah.
that. Would you say 50-50 full-time, part-time, or what's the percentage, would you think?
So my students that I work with in my mentorship program, those are more full time. Those are the ones that are trying to, rid themselves of the golden handcuffs of
Yeah.
the 9 to 5. YouTube, I don't assume anybody on YouTube is doing it full time. That is my beginner content. I think my content over on YouTube gets to like the intermediate. So if you go to YouTube and you watch my videos and you're like, this is pretty advanced. No, it's not. It's not, because I'm not trying to overwhelm anybody on YouTube. Once they come into my ecosystem and they're giving me a little bit more permission to overwhelm them, I don't
Hmm.
mean that seriously, but to
Yeah.
give them the real sauce and they're ready and positioned, then that's when we kind of ease into the systems and the frameworks
Yeah.
that, quite honestly, I've tried to do a couple of those videos on YouTube and it generates way too many individualized questions that I can't answer for everybody. So because it's a case by case basis. Going back to your question, though, I have students right now that are making three or $400,000 a year. I have students that are just getting to the point where they can pay their mortgage, pay their
Yeah.
car payment, and then a lot of people that have really, really good day job or careers that don't want to do
They
music.
don't want to do it full-time, right?
One of my former students is an aerospace engineer for Boeing. He's like, dude, I got 4 kids. I do not want to do music as a full-time income. I'm doing just fine with my benefits and my salary, but I want people to connect with my music. I really want to be able to jam
Yeah.
with people, and
Yeah.
and everybody has different goals. That's like, when somebody will come to me and say like, what can you guarantee me in the next 12 weeks? I'm like, well, if Harvard can't make any guarantees, I certainly can't. However, what are your goals? Some
Yeah.
people want that shiny pie in the sky, Spotify number. Some people want to make their first $500.
Some
Some
people just want to
people,
put their music out there. I
yeah,
also I have a thoracic surgeon, who is a Christian metal guy,
that's
and he
awesome.
just wants to make his message, get the message out, and make his shredding music, and employs Nashville people to do those things for him, and has a ball doing it. But it's never going to be the career.
For sure.
He's a surgeon, and a
Yeah.
very good one, and that's going to be the career. That's music. He's smart enough, being a surgeon, smart enough to know that music is not going to make what he makes as
And
a
that's
surgeon.
and that's the thing too. Like, we can be passionate about music and find a guide, find a mentor, find somebody that can really help us go to the edge and make our own decision on whether or not that's a lifestyle for us.
Yeah.
But so many people will waste a decade trying to just get to that point, and then they figure out, oh, I would have been really successful doing something else that I was passionate about that I backburnered years ago because I thought that I was going to be rich and famous doing trap rap the rest of my life as a 52-year-old white man. Like, there's people out there that are so talented because, as somebody who was a union carpenter for 4 years before I moved down to Florida, it's like the blue collar jobs, the craftsman jobs, these things are needed. I have a friend of a friend, really, really good friend of my friend, who's making 6 figures as a plumber and loves it, like totally killing it as a plumber.
Yeah.
So, I think that if you want to get rich on music, you can absolutely do it. Not everybody's built for it. And rich is completely subjective, right? Some people, if they were making 10 grand a month with their music, would be living the dream. Some people living out in LA that were making 10 grand from their music would be like, I hope I can afford a third bedroom in this apartment someday. So
Right.
and that's why, on my YouTube
Or around
channel,
the world. I mean, people watch our channels, and employ us from around the world, not just
yeah,
in America. So there are people in India who man, 10,000 means a lot different than it means
it'd be
to
a
us.
year's salary.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
What do you say? And I have a lot of people on my channel who are composers or songwriters or beat makers. Not as many
Yeah.
beat makers probably on this particular channel, but a lot of composers and songwriters focus on licensing who don't want to be artists. They have no
Yeah.
interest in being the upfront person. They don't even need their face seen or heard. Is marketing the same for them? That in
Yes.
the same ways?
Yes and no. So, in the corporate realm, we're talking about B2B, B2C marketing, business to business, business to consumer. I think that when it comes to the music side of things, on both the front end and the back end, it's really like P2P, person to person, human to human.
Hmm. Hmm.
And so I think that being in the right rooms, networking with people, giving a lot of value, asking, hey, how can I help you? Rather than, hey, this is what I need from you. I think in the sync space, I think when you're building those relationships, we're all used to people trying to freeload. We're all
Hmm.
used to people emailing us nonstop saying, you are the key for my success. Help me. It's not a, hey, I really enjoy your stuff. It's not a, hey, this is who I am. It's,
Hmm.
hey, you are a tool and I want to use you as a tool to get to where I want. And then that's fine. I've come to terms with that on YouTube years ago. But I think that in the sync space, I think that people have to put in a copious amount of work. You have to
Yeah.
do a lot. You have to have a huge library if you want to do it long term. And you just have to keep what I call putting one jelly bean in the jar at a time. Don't worry about how many it's going to take to fill it up, one at a time. And just know that you're moving in the right direction as long as you're adding. There's clearly ways to thrive just focusing on one or two things within the industry. But like you said earlier, if you are a session musician and you tour on occasion as a fill in,
Hmm.
like you can diversify in several different ways. In fact, a lot of people that are on YouTube crushing it with lessons, piano, guitar, and everything in
Hmm.
between are also studio musicians, are also
Right.
touring,
Right.
also had a band that broke up when everybody had six kids,
Yeah.
and now they're still using their talents and their passion. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
All right. The other question I want to ask about composers, songwriters, beat makers, or just people who make music who don't want to be artists is being a brand. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I have a lot of music brands because my particular name is there's another dude who's Eric Copeland up in New York. He does a lot of noise
Oh,
music and stuff, and he's
okay.
been signed for a long time. So back for 15 or 20 years though, I've started like my own like jazz. I have a jazz brand. I have a piano brand. I have all these brands. And so I've been marketing as brands. I think that works very well for me rather than marketing as me. What are your thoughts on marketing a brand instead of your name, your face type of thing?
Yeah, there's two different, trains of thought here. If you want to be the Gary Vaynerchuk, if you want to be the Tony Robbins, obviously
Yeah.
that's personal name,
Yeah.
right? But then you're kind of pigeonholed into never really being able to sell that property, that intellectual property, because
Yeah.
like it's so predicated on you. Look at Dave Ramsey, Oprah,
Hmm.
like they are
Yeah.
them, right? And
Right.
so when you build around a brand name, especially when you're building a business or a community or whatever, then you have the potential to bring other folks in. It doesn't always have to be you.
Hmm.
One thing, I don't want to say I regret it, but one thing that I wasn't even privy to when I first started doing YouTube videos is the fact of like, maybe one day I want to bring somebody else in to like help with this stuff. And people, if they don't see me, are going to be like, well, hold on, this is the Adam Ivy channel. Or like, I came for Adam Ivy. Who are you?
Yeah.
But if I would have, I my YouTube channel, everybody could find it at musicmarketing.com. If I wanted to build musicmarketing.com, I could have you and all my other music marketing friends, and everybody could be kind of just a piece of the puzzle for various specialties. And that feels pretty good. That feels very collaborative. And
Yeah.
so as a musician, you have to look at what does that look like? Do you want to be the Gene Simmons? Because Gene Simmons has his own brand, but Kiss is the overarching thing. So it's
Yeah, or like Graham with Recording Revolution,
yes, that's a perfect
who had
example.
a great brand that he was able to sell, and now he has his own Graham Cochran, brand that he is
Yeah,
pushing for a certain reason. But yeah, I just believe in brands. I sell everybody on brands just because,
yeah,
especially composers and people who just don't have any interest in being on the stage, and
yeah,
they want to build a now certain composers want to be known for their name, but there are other people who have my reason I use brands is because I do so many different kinds of music
yeah,
that I can't just market one name and everybody go, oh, I love that kind of music, because I could do these two opposite things. I could do gospel music on this side, and I could
right.
do jazz music on this side, and I call it the J word, because jazz people are scared of Jesus, and
That should
and
be on a t-shirt.
Jesus people are scared of jazz, and so these two kind of you exactly similar size markets. They just don't go together. So
Yeah,
you have to keep them in separate brands. Same with classical music. Same with like if you're a classical composer, but you also have a hip hop brand. I mean, those two worlds
sure,
don't
sure.
necessarily they can come together, but they don't always come together. So I'm a big believer in brands.